Hello, Facebook world. I've had many of you reach out to me to ask me to try to help with simple meals at home, since everyone that knows me knows I love to cook. So first off, this is what happens when you have a dog in the house that is brand new. So bear with my glasses, Lisa, I need you bad. So I'm gonna recreate, today I made spaghetti and meatballs this morning, so I'm actually recreating the wheel just so we can have a little bit more for tonight, but at the end result, that's what it's supposed to look like. So this is what we're going to start off by using. I'm using about 1.5 pounds of ground beef, and then those are my spices. I've got basil, I've got parsley, oregano, salt, garlic powder, breadcrumbs, Parmesan cheese. Now with this, I'm using just what I have here, rationed here at the house, because typically I would use everything fresh. I'd use fresh basil, fresh parsley, from the garlic, the onion, all of that, but I'm using what I've got here, and typically I would use Italian spices. So again, I'm just using the resources of what I have here. Now here I have already minced garlic and onion. So what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to turn on the heat. And I've never done a video like this before, so bear with me. It would help if I had glasses at work. I'll put it about medium heat. And then I'm going to add a little olive oil to the pan. And we're going to let that saute. Now, if you've ever cooked, these glasses, if you've ever cooked garlic and onion before, light saute, the whole house is going to smell like an Italian kitchen. It's going to have an extremely beautiful aroma. Literally, when I lived in Houston, I used to have people knock on my door and ask me, my neighbors asked me what I was cooking. So you're going to get, once that starts sauteing, you're going to get a really pretty aroma in the house. But again, that's just a little bit of the garlic and the onion and the olive oil. I already have my pasta set aside that I cooked. Now, those of us that know how to boil water, when the water gets angry, is when you put the pasta in with the olive oil and a little bit of salt for about 15 minutes, depending if you like it al dente or if you like it softer. That's all, but that's already ready to go, and you can see that this is already starting to saute. And that's already starting to smell good. You're just going to want to do that a couple of minutes just to where it's translucent. And there's Jill terrorizing a hanger. Okay, so here we have the ground beef. We're going to want to add 1 egg. I'm going to try to do this without putting with one hand. There we go. So there's 1 egg. And again, that's about 1.5 pounds of ground beef. We're going to add salt. And as my son says, I get fancy with the spices. I really probably over pour, but maybe that's why it's so good. I should have opened these already. Okay, so then I'm going to cover it with garlic powder. I'm going to add breadcrumbs, and this is what thickens the meat in order for the breadcrumb to sit still. I'm going to add, typically I would add some really fancy, nice shredded, I forget the word, the cheeses that all come together, the 4 cheeses, but this is all I got to work with, Parmesan cheese, but it works the same. It's just a little bit of a different flavor. Now, being that everything going on, everything was very rationed, so you can use this. If you cannot find just basic tomato sauce, get my things over here moving around so they don't burn. See how they're already starting to get a little brown, so I'm going to lower the heat on that. And this is what's going to go inside the meatballs. So that's already ready. I'm going to turn that off, let that cool down. So yeah, if you can't find just regular spaghetti sauce, and a note on spaghetti sauce, always reach to the higher of the shelf. Don't go to the lower, because that has a lot of sodium in it, and you're going to get a lot of acid reflux, you're going to get indigestion, and so on and so forth, and that's just not going to be too good. So if you go with something, it's a little more pricier, and I know right now that everything is pretty, limited, but this is the one I'm using today, is this tomato and Alfredo sauce, and it actually came out very, very well. You're going to want to dump one of these. I make mine from scratch, but I don't have that choice right now. Tomato and Alfredo, I dump one of those, and then I dump a thing of water in it, but of course we don't use the Beeville water, so use bottled water, and that's what's in here. Okay, so we've got the breadcrumbs, we've got the salt. I'm gonna add a little bit of parsley. Typically I would do a whole Italian seasoning, but again, I don't have that. Now basil, I love to use fresh basil, and that I just stick it straight into the pot. But at least I got this, so that's good to go. A little bit of oregano and a little bit of black pepper. Like I said, I get fancy with the spices. You're gonna want to mash that up very good. And I never measure anything, I just never have. Just seems to work out that better with me. I just eyeball it, but you can start seeing it getting a bit thicker and thicker. See, I can tell that it needs more breadcrumbs. So here we go. It needs to have some girth on it, get it thickened up a little bit more. And sorry, no makeup. I'm in my nightgown. I'm at home and comfortable. So just wanted to shoot this one out since I already started this morning. Let's see, how am I gonna do this with two hands, without two hands? Make sure that it's all mixed in there very well. I'm gonna season a little bit more. There we go. Now I'm gonna go back to my garlic over here. Try not to get too much of that oil in there. And then I'm just gonna dump that in there. This would be so much easier with two hands, but no one's here to record me and I wanted to get this done. And if I had vision, would be good too. Doing por mientras. Por mientras. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is mix all this in together. Make sure it's not too hot to the touch because it just came off the stove. But I'm used to it, so mix all that goodness in there with it. I can still tell it needs more breadcrumbs. You want to make sure that the density of this is not too wet and not too dry here. I can tell that that's already pretty good. So now I'm going to make my meatballs. I'm going to put down the phone so I can have two hands. So hang on a second. Okay, so when we make our meatballs, again, you kind of have to eyeball it depending how big and how small you want it. You roll it really good in your hands. See? Make some room here. And then once I get these all rolled up, I'm going to put them on that same pan that I did with the olive oil and the garlic and the onion. Try to do it quickly. I don't know how long this video, if it will stream or not. Again, I'm no professional. It's my first time. But I'm just trying to, I made this morning for the family and everybody loved it. So I said, well, since people have been asking me to do this, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, 1.5 pounds should make about 20-ish balls, maybe a little bit less, but really simple to do. See, the meatball. And all of us should have, well, maybe not all of us, but typically we always have pasta, spaghetti sauce, and like I said, even if you use an Alfredo sauce, that one is tomato and Alfredo mixed together. And always remember to add as much as you put in of the sauce, add that whole thing of water, but not our sink water, add bottled water. So I'm going to turn my stove back on to medium. and start putting, once that warms up a little bit, start putting these in. I'm trying to make them all about the same size. And excuse my nails, it's just, what can we do? So that's a perfect little meatball right there. And what I'm gonna do with the meatballs is I'm gonna brown them, and then I'm gonna put them, and really they'll cook in about 20 minutes with the lid on if you already have the sauce and everything put together. When you do your sauce, you also want to add the same ingredients that you did to your meatball. The same salt, garlic powder, if you have Italian seasoning. That's where I really like to put the basil in there, the fresh basil, oregano, parsley. Not too much of the dry stuff, because sometimes that just kind of sticks to you. So that's why I like to use the fresh stuff, but I don't have that option right now. So this is what we're doing. Almost there. So I'm gonna start putting my meatballs on. It'll be all meaty. Okay. Not too high, because then you'll brown, they'll get too black on you. And you want them soft on all sides. Well, circle doesn't have sides, but you know. So I put them in slowly, one by one. I've got about 12 there now, so I'm still rolling my meatballs. And you can do this out of turkey as well. I did some the other day for my little brother that came out really, really good. Except the turkey, if you're going to do turkey meatballs, don't brown them. Just put them directly into the pot. A little meatball. I need glasses. Somebody help me. Look at me. Look like an idiot. What the world's come to. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands real good. Grease off of there. Okay, so again, you're going to want to make sure that you get the full circle. Jill, what did you do to my glasses? I have 3 pairs of glasses and they all look like this. Even the ones I got from you, Lisa. So shout out to Gino Drake. Hope you're doing good. Shout out to Celia in New Braunfels. La Margaret, Miss Jenny. Everyone dear to me. Okay, so I'm going to roll those. I don't even know if I can get this. So I'm going to attempt to turn those little by little. And if you shake the pan, you can kind of get it that way. I'll move the video clip here in just a minute. But again, not to where they're burnt on either side. You want them to just brown. And sometimes they can be a bit delicate. So then I like to use, and with that I can just flip them. I'll call this Sissy, Cooking with Sissy on Comita Street. But this should be something very simple for folks to make at home for your family. Doesn't take long. If they break up a little bit, that's perfectly fine. Nothing has to be perfect, but let me see if I can turn this around. So those are my meatballs that are cooking. I'll try to take all that red out of there, but in a few minutes it'll be gone, and then you're just going to dump them into the pot to where they're going to cook. Got a little mushy on me here. See, with that, I know that I didn't put enough of the breadcrumbs in there. You can have Italian flavored, or you can use just regular breadcrumbs, plain. But see how the red is starting to brown. So that's what you want to do. So once I've got that brown, Then I'm going to put it in here to marry, but I want to make sure that they're nice and cooked on all sides. And some people like to put this in the oven, and that's perfectly fine as well. I just really like to get messy and use my spatula, so it's like my dad hunting. It's what he loves to do, that I love to cook. So we're getting it brown on all sides. I turn this on. Now, anytime that you cook pasta sauce, you never want to cook it on high, because all it's going to do is just start squirting and messing up all of your clothes and popping all over the place. You want to put it on simmer. But yeah, the main ingredients is garlic, Italian seasoning. You want to mix some cheese into the meatball. Breadcrumbs, salt and pepper. I'm using basil and parsley. And I think I put some oregano in there too. So these are almost done. You can't cook without making a cocktail, right? Jill, be quiet. So once you see them nice and browned, that one's ready. Try to take as much of that grease off, and then you're just going to pop them in there. And then once this is all said and done, I'll send y'all a picture. See how they're nice olive brown all around. Hey, stop it. Hey, get off the couch. Stop that. That's Miss Jill. That's the new puppy. Never a replacement for Mr. Jax, but there was a terrible hole in my heart that needed mending, and it seemed to help a little. But she's a good dog so far. So now I'm adding the second batch of meatballs to do the exact same thing. So with this being said, if you guys want to message me and let me know if you need help with certain recipes, meatloaf, chicken salad, tuna salad. I've cooked for people all over the world. I've cooked for my grandma that just Mexican food from Oso Buco. Well, we can't get that kind of stuff now, but lamb chops, anything else, wild meat, any recipes that you guys would like me to help you with, just send me a message and maybe I can figure out how to do this video thing a little bit easier. And if I don't have the ingredients, then I'd be happy to walk you through what you need to do. So here I'm just going to rotate this a little bit more. There's definitely needs more sauce. So hang on one second. So, like this is, I told you this is the sauce that I was using. So that just goes directly in here. And again, I usually take all day to make my sauces, but we don't have that option with fresh tomatoes and the whole 9 yards. Now I'm going to fill this with just not tap water, I'm sorry, the bottled water. Okay. So see how I added? So we're going to add that into here. That way it's nice and soupy, and it'll thicken as it cooks. Discard the bowl, clean it up. Finish up the meatballs here. But yeah, again, if you guys have any questions, I have a Food Ninja and I have a pressure cooker. If you need questions on that, I'd be happy to answer it for you. But this is just a very basic spaghetti and meatballs. But a lot of people don't know how to make them, and it's really easy, and I'm sure everybody can go on to Google, but not everybody has those are old videos of what's happening now with the virus and everything else. So I thought that I'd do my part and try to help out with, I'm in your situation as well too. So, so we're gonna get this cooked up. We're gonna put it in here. We're gonna cover it again. Here's my pasta. I'm gonna add that here in a few minutes because I don't want it to dry out too much, but that's my version of spaghetti and meatballs with the virus and everything going on. But again, if you have any questions, please feel free to message me and I'd be happy to answer. Stay safe. Grandma, say bye. Say bye.
Bye.
Girl. Again, she says bye.